Hello, I'm Jack Rickard. This is EVTV. I'm here with my compadre and consigliere, El Brenoto.
Hey, good to be here, Jack. It's a little later than usual on Friday.
It is. It's
We've been whacking away at
Friday, and we've had visitors and everything else. What's going on in the world?
Well, I was digging around this week and actually this afternoon, and this always happens, like right about 3 or 4 o'clock, news will break. I don't know if they know that we're filming or what. But anyway, it looks like a little earlier, maybe Wednesday of this week, A123, actually it was Wednesday, said that there was, in quotes, substantial doubt about the viability of A123 as a going concern because the company expects to burn through cash and report steep losses over the next several quarters.
And they have 7 law firms after them on a class action lawsuit.
Yeah. Management consultants, all kinds of stuff going on. Wow.
Where did you hear this first?
Well, always on EVTV.
It's hard to fathom how a serious project to do electric vehicles would be able to, at this point, consider A123.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the question of their viability.
Yeah, and their quote.
Before.
Yeah, right.
Well, they have to disclose.
Right, as a public company.
Because they've already got 7
7 yeah, that's right. They need to tell. They need to disclose everything now.
Disclosing, so they can't play games with it. Although people try.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's just that the future develops and they get caught up in it. But imagine if you're General Motors. Imagine if you're Noto Motors.
Yeah,
a little outfit, and you're thinking about using the A123, and their battery packs are in recall, but they know the problem, and they assure you you won't have it, and you're going to base your car on a battery you don't know if you can get.
Right, at this point, exactly, yeah. I mean, how would you go into production or plan that?
How does this work?
Yeah, it really makes it tough. I mean, it really does.
So how can they, go forward? Their losses are going to mount because they can't bring in any new business.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a shame. It's a good sell.
Absolutely.
I think we'll be probably the source for A123 cells in the U.S. and be able to get them from China for some time.
That's right, because they'll still be making them.
But who knows? But it's at this point. I mean, these people have been so arrogant and so stupid that I've been on them for 3 years, and at this point, I actually feel sorry for them. But that I always do.
Yeah, that's right. In the end, that's right.
When they're selling off the office furniture, it's always sort of a
is that the best time to buy?
Melancholy moment,
right.
And you kind of think what might have been, except you needed to not be done.
Right. Right.
And that's the Volt and Nissan. That soap opera continues a little bit better.
Oh, okay.
The Chevy Volt, which the people that drive this car are pretty happy with it. It still leads the J.D. Power Owner Satisfaction Survey.
Yeah, I actually did. I talked to a doctor in town that has a Volt, and I mean, he really likes the car.
Do you know why they like it?
Well, they bought it.
Well, yeah, but I bought a lot of things that it didn't turn out I liked. It's amazing. This car has a 40-mile range, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not buying any gasoline. What they're discovering is what I've been telling you.
Right.
That this range thing has been a red herring. It was very much a topic with lead-acid cars. We waited for 120 years for the next battery chemistry.
Right.
It came here 4 years ago, and these people like magpies are chanting garbage.
The same old mantra.
Because they've heard it before.
Right.
And they simply repeat it. What you'll find with an electric car today, once you're past what I've termed the threshold of viability,
right.
Once your car goes further than you do, as long as your car won't go as far as you want to go, there's a problem.
There's a problem, that's right.
As soon as the car goes further than you do, it's not
over.
A problem.
That's right, it's over.
And the Leaf guys are discovering, they got a little tank of gasoline that kicks in about once a month,
Yeah, right. Yeah, yep.
And if they charge it every night, they never run out
have
of
to worry about
electricity.
it. Yeah.
With a pack that'll barely do 35, 40 miles.
Right. I mean, that's not a very long-range car, and to be able to not use the gas engine is
How much
amazing.
simpler a car would it be? And how much less expensive a car would it be if they pulled all that crap out of there and put batteries where they
that
were
ice
sitting?
stuff, and you go further.
And then you could go 80 or 100 miles, and whoopee, you don't know how good it is.
That's right.
In any event, the Volt in May, which is just yesterday completed,
yeah.
1,680 deliveries, up from the 1,462, but not near the March high when they announced the HOV lane at 2289, and it's absolutely a California phenomenon.
Right.
They can be difficult to get in California. You can't give them away anywhere else. This is an HOV lane phenomenon. You can't analyze markets with the government in there constantly throwing trick double throw me down, quick disconnect bullshit on top of the data.
Yeah, that's right.
And this is purely a HOV lane issue.
That's really what it was, because it got authorized, for
authorized.
HOV lane. Yep, it sure did.
The Nissan Leaf logged sales of 510 units in May, which is some better than the 370.
3-something, yeah. In April,
And May a year ago was 1142. And there were 3 more days, sales days this month, than there was last year.
Okay.
So the Leaf is not doing well. What are they saying? Global Leaf production is constrained by limits on fabrication of the car's lithium-ion battery pack. It's constrained because nobody's writing a check.
Yeah, that's right.
The Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid, they don't have. So, the first 5 months of the year, Chevy sold 7,057 volts, and Nissan delivered 2,613 Leafs, giving U.S. totals since December of 2010 of 15,054 and 12,287. That's 27,000 electric cars. If you throw in the 2,400 Teslas, we're at 30,000 lithium-powered cars now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, including the ones our viewers have built, huh?
Well, pretty much. Fisker has said that they don't report their monthlies, but they had reached 1,000 cars now. And they're still announcing that they're getting financing, and
they're going to do the Atlantic and everything.
And they're with A123. There's no possibility of this car surviving. There's a guy who has reviewed it on YouTube. The fit and finish is that of a $30,000 car, and the instrumentation system, entertainment system, and so forth is just a joke.
Oh man,
car drives nice though. And so that's where we're at on the sales. Oh my goodness, I've gotten into a thing this week with a woman on LinkedIn who is trying to promote her company that makes stuff for hydrogen fuel cell cars.
Okay.
And we had a guy in today talking about Shah Agassi and the Better Place,
yeah.
Which just, it will not die until he is in prison doing hard time. And trust me, that's where that one's headed.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Geez.
It's going to wind up being a huge investor scam. He's got 2 sets of documents, what he can do for you with a car and the other one for the investors. And why I've always looked at scams at this is this whole battery swapping scam is to get you to give him the money you give to the oil companies right now. He wants you to pay the same amount. But he'd rather have it for batteries than for...
so you'd be paying the same amount you would go per mile for electricity for your batteries?
Basically.
Oh man, that's expensive.
Yeah. It's so that didn't happen. But this woman is on and on and on about hydrogen.
We love hydrogen.
Let me tell you a little trick. I played with hydrogen for a couple of years. I love hydrogen.
Yeah, that's how we got
I'm
started.
not too sure that hydrogen and God are not the same thing. It is a symbolic symbol of the universe. It has one proton and one electron.
Yeah.
It is unity. It is the center of the universe and all mysticism. I may be a hydrogen religious freak. And we got into electric cars when I needed some batteries for something I was doing with hydrogen, and discovered the batteries, hydrogen. I'll just give you a thick, quick thumbnail. You can go do this in your backyard. Take a 1-inch copper pipe, drill some very fine holes in the lower third of it. I want you to load the pipe with, and you can get it on eBay, the ceramic extract. They'll sell it to you in a box, powdered, already ground up.
Oh, okay.
Of catalytic converters.
Okay.
They do this to recover the platinum.
The platinum sponge.
We're not going to recover it. I want you to put it in a pipe.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Put that in a 2 or 3 foot tall, 2 foot's better, polycarbonate cylinder. Get some Interstate version of titanium dioxide. It's fine as you can afford to buy, and the finer you get it, the harder it is to mix with water.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
And so I use these little magnetic stirrers over days and kind of trickle it in. And you want to make a milky solution of suspended, very fine particles of titanium dioxide. Titanium dioxide and platinum have a magical relationship going back to a Shell patent of 1977. And that is that in the presence of platinum in an electrolyte that they share over any distance, the titanium dioxide will give off oxygen ions.
Okay. Yeah.
If the electrolyte has water in it, that leaves hydrogen ions.
Right.
This works 380 to 420 angstroms, kind of UV band of sunlight.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
And so what you want to do is maximize the surface area. They're doing all kinds of things to do this. The simplest way is to suspend very fine particles in the electrolyte and expose it to sunlight.
You get a lot of surface area.
So the ones on the outside get most of the sunlight, but it will penetrate.
Yeah.
And so you have essentially multiple layers of a very large population, very small particles of titanium dioxide, which will give off this oxygen ion in the presence of sunlight. If there's platinum. Inside your copper pipe, of course, is where the platinum is. And it doesn't take much.
In that sponge, in a platinum sponge, yeah.
And, of course, the titanium dioxide and water get into the pipe, too. Well, you want, use the plastic separators they use for the batteries. You don't really want this stuff going in and out. But it doesn't matter. All the liquid that gets in the pipe that has titanium dioxide in it, it doesn't have any sunlight.
Oh, sure. That's right. Be in the dark. Yeah. Yep.
And so inside the pipe, hydrogen will come out, and outside the pipe, but inside the thing, oxygen will come out. Okay. And you can electrolyze water into hydrogen and oxygen with no electricity and no moving parts. And it's a fascinating process. If you want to Google this and learn more about it, they usually call it now photocatalytics, and I'm not the inventor nor the principal investigator. It's a whole field, and there's a lot being done in it. They don't do it in the garage like I do. And the solution suspension has kind of evaded them as a way to get maximum surface area. They're, of course, trying to widen the band gap on the light. Of the light, You're really only using a very small amount of light.
So if you could use more.
And anyway, this crazy woman, Maria, is on and on and on about hydrogen, and she keeps citing documents she's found on Google that are all bullshit. and using that as proof that hydrogen is really much better than battery electric cars.
Oh,
and her company makes things that they help sell to OEMs to make hydrogen work.
Hydrogen work, yeah.
Okay, so we know who all the players are and why I'm willing to have the discussion, but it just got crazy. Her solution, my problem with hydrogen, there's several of them. The biggest one is hydrogen is hydrogen.
Yeah, right. It doesn't stay where you want it to stay.
Technically, hydrogen does not exist.
Yeah.
We have to pry it apart from everything because, like lithium, it is extremely reactive. By that, I mean it combines with everything, anything.
Anything.
It is the party girl of elements. Any swinging element will do.
It's like Chardonnay.
It wants 15 minutes in the back room, and presto changeo, you got a new couple. And so the most obvious thing that we know of is oxygen, but it's everything. Your gasoline has hydrocarbons in it. There's endlessly long chains of molecules that hydrogen will very happily participate in. You will never find hydrogen anywhere.
Yeah, right.
Unless you make it.
You make it, yeah, yeah. It's
Okay,
always with
let's
something.
make some. Everybody likes hydrolysis, except it's heroically expensive and it's heroically inefficient to use electricity to
do it,
hydrolyze hydrogen. 95% of the hydrogen in the United States is made by reformation of natural gas. That requires 700 to 1100 degree centigrade steam.
Takes a lot of electricity.
That's real hot.
That's real hot.
And so it takes a lot of energy to strip the hydrogen from the natural gas.
Yeah.
And it winds up being, by the time you would get it to a pump, 4 times the price of gasoline for the equivalent energy. This from the U.S. Department of Energy.
Okay.
As it so happens, the way they actually do it, it's just like the gasoline. If you would give me the electricity used to make the hydrogen, you can keep the hydrogen. I can go further on the electricity than I could on the hydrogen.
Yeah, right.
But it doesn't matter. We don't have a hydrogen infrastructure to put it in all the gas stations and have it available all over the country, or to put it in the gas stations where they did hydrolysis at the gas station is $3 trillion.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of ducats.
It is.
If it was there.
Right, if it was there already, yeah.
To put it in your car, you have to have a tank. This is why I lost interest in compressed natural gas. Tanks automatically carry with them a DOT approval and inspection. If you get your car now converted to burn compressed natural gas, the kit has to be approved by the Department of Transportation, and the tank has to be approved by the Department of Transportation, and the installer has to be. The converter guy has to be approved by the Department of Transportation.
And I'm sure that tank has to be inspected too.
A bomb.
Yeah, yeah. And those tanks need maintenance or inspection, sure.
Hydrogen, the amount of energy in hydrogen, 1 kilogram of hydrogen, I had Norman on there telling me about 1 kilogram of hydrogen is equivalent of gas, the energy of a gallon of gasoline. Actually, it's somewhat in excess of it.
Okay.
A gallon of gasoline has about 121 megajoules of energy. A kilogram of hydrogen, about 141.
Okay, okay.
A kilogram of hydrogen at standard pressure is 1,180 liters.
I was going to say, it's got to be
That's
huge.
the size of a cargo container.
Yeah, it's going to half this room.
You could drive your car around inside a tank of 1 kilogram of hydrogen. Remember the Hindenburg? It's so light it lifts things. And so the only way to have it is to compress it. Would you believe this hydrogen is so fascinating? A gallon of hydrogen, liquid hydrogen, has less hydrogen in it than a gallon of gasoline.
Really?
It's true. And so they're left with a 5,000 pound, 10,000 pound, I've seen some 2,600 PSI tanks for hydrogen.
Oh, man.
And you're right back in the compressed natural gas
Yeah,
thing,
right.
except with a kicker.
Yeah.
Nothing can contain hydrogen. Hydrogen has one proton and one electron. It's mostly space.
Yeah, everything else is going to be, you know,
It's
not
a
able to hold
ghost.
it.
It just
it whiffs around.
transubstantiates itself through the walls of anything.
Just migrates out.
It does.
Yeah.
And but in doing so, if there's a crystalline structure in the way, it embrittles it.
Oh, man. So now you got a tank under pressure with hydrogen, which is kind of explosive.
And if you kick it with your foot, it shatters into 4,000 pieces.
Oops. Uh-oh.
Doing something really well with precision and good execution and fabulous design talent is a good thing. Unless it was a stupid thing to begin with. Then you've done a stupid thing really, really well.
That was a harebrained idea.
Still remains stupid. Yeah. Hydrogen is stupid, but Maria's brought it to a new height.
Hydrogen height?
Hydrogen does have some problems, so they have a reformer.
Okay.
It's a device you put ahead of the fuel cell to convert other fuels to hydrogen.
Okay.
And this way you can use other fuels like natural gas, for example, back to the tank.
Back to the, yeah.
We haven't even improved anything to hydrogen, but she thinks that she can do French fry oil. That's a smelly car.
Yeah, or it makes you hungry if you're behind it.
And other alternate fuels.
Yeah.
And of course, the one that would be the easiest to obtain.
Gas. As I said, it's got to be gasoline with all the hydrogen in it.
So she's invented a process, at least in her mind, of making an alternate fuel car by a very expensive fuel cell, a very expensive reformer to drive an electric car using gasoline.
Using gasoline. Wow.
Now that's as stupid as it gets.
Yeah, that's kind of Rube Goldbergish kind of.
It is a very Rube Goldberg thing to do something heroically stupid.
Yeah, wow. That's a lot of steps.
One of our bloggers, viewers, Palmer MD, I think he's a medical student up in Illinois. He was going to come see us one day. He didn't make the trip.
Okay.
He's done a little napkin and pen work.
Okay.
And come up with something that I did not realize and am fascinated by it at the moment.
Okay.
And that is that we have 47,183 miles of interstate highway in the United States, according to Wikipedia.
Okay, all right, so about 50,000 miles, okay.
Nissan has announced the availability of the hardware, the Chademo fast charger,
Oh, okay.
at $9,995. Unobtainium, I have not been able to buy one.
But there's an press
their
release
claim.
and an announcement, okay.
There is press release. And how many of those would it take to put a fast charger, 20-minute, 80% charge, every 40 miles on the entire interstate highway system?
So would that take 40,000 of them? How many? Like, I'm not doing the math in my head.
1,180.
That's right.
1,180 of them. Let's forget the 10,000. Let's say by the time you sited it and installed it, put it in some concrete, got three-phase power to it.
Right, yeah.
That you spent $50,000 on each one of these.
Yeah, that's probably pretty good because a lot of it's going to be just bringing the power to it. Yeah.
What's the total to do this across the country where there's no place on an interstate highway you can't go in an electric car?
It's got to be close to a 50 million.
$59 million.
That's not a lot of money for a national project.
10x it. 10x it. $590 million.
Yeah. 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 Who cares?
We spend $1 billion a day on gasoline.
Yeah. That's nothing. That's nothing.
Let's say we're off by an order of magnitude.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know why.
Right.
$50,000 bucks. I think I can put one in.
Yeah, even if they were 100 grand, that's still, you know, not that big of a difference.
It's $118 million.
Right.
Now, the objection is, well, but yeah, then you got one every 40 miles. What if somebody's already there when I get there? Well, it's a lot better than level 2. They're there for 20 minutes.
They're right. They're going to be there on a level 2 for who knows, hours.
Right. So it would work, but it doesn't matter. The problem, it's a chicken and egg problem. There's no infrastructure because there's no cars. Nobody wants the cars because there's no infrastructure.
Right.
Now, here's the infrastructure for $59 million where you can drive an electric car anywhere in the country. You can drive it coast to coast. You can take off Los Angeles, drive to Maine, you can get there.
Yeah, you could.
$59 million. That will put some cars on the road. If there were electric cars on the road, guys, for truck stops, a fast charging station is another pump. They don't care. Right,
because then private industry would get into it.
And by the way, they ain't giving those gas pumps away.
No, no.
If you think 10,000 is a lot for a charge station, it's also a lot for a gas pump, and that's about what they run.
Probably, yeah. They've got to be expensive.
And so, are you kidding with a credit card?
Without the reader and network and the whole thing.
No, they're 10,000 each.
Yeah.
In fact, I doubt you could buy one for 10,000.
Yeah.
The truck stop doesn't care. They'll put anything that'll get somebody in the door to buy a Twinkie.
Right, to buy Twinkies.
They don't make any money on the fuel now. It's like 4 cents a gallon. They're selling sodas, ice, beer, chips, Twinkies, hamburgers. You know, that's the business.
That kind of stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
And they will put in all you want if you showed up and wanted them. But why would they spend that and then have it sit there and nobody ever come and charge?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, right. Why do it? Yeah.
And so this is how little ice pick, tick, tick in the egg of the chicken and the egg problem. And it's for less money than Houston's talking about installing level 2 chargers.
Yeah.
And so, you know, this is was kind of shocking to me. We're going to mostly do viewers this week.
Yeah, we've got some stuff in. Yeah. Well, we've been working away at it though.
But some people have sent us some stuff on you know, viewer videos. Andrew McClary he's a video guy, and he did our intro and our end piece. By the way, the music he gave me, YouTube thinks is stolen, and so they keep shoving. But my Basil Polidoro stuff isn't, which it actually
is. Yeah.
And so YouTube's pretty messed up.
It's like, what the heck?
But anyway,
they don't know the song.
Andrew did some graphics work for us. We list him in the credits still. He bought a FiberFab Avenger GT40, kind of an abandoned project on eBay for $500.
500?
And then he had to build a car around it.
Oh man!
But he's done a pretty nice one. He had it with lead acid batteries, and I gave him a hard time about it, and he finally upgraded.
Oh, cool!
And now I just got an email from him that I was right again.
He likes those lithium-ion batteries.
It's a completely different car.
Oh yeah. Jeez.
He's getting 120 miles on charge, and he just takes off like scat. And without that ton of lead, of course, it's all working. He's doing some work with another guy on a battery management system, but it's kind of a cool display for the car that shows all the voltages and stuff. But he sent us a video clip. Let's take a look.
All right.
Hi, my name's Andrew McCleary and I'm the builder of the EV GT40, an all-electric GT40 replica. This car started its life as a 1968 Fiberfab Valkyrie, a kit car based on the GT40 of that era. When I purchased it off of eBay for $500, I basically got a nice fiberglass body that had been sitting out in the rain for a number of years, as well as a rusted frame. I took apart what had been done and started over from scratch. From that frame, I rebuilt it back up as an all-electric vehicle. This car's got a top speed probably somewhere over 130. Haven't had it up to 130 yet, but I've had it up over 100 and it's handled quite well. Let me give you a quick tour of the car. Okay, we'll show you the car. First, to start off with, the doors have got Lamborghini doors. This is something my kids thought would be fun. Actually cost me about 3 months of fabrication to be able to get it to work right. But it makes it for a lot of fun and makes it an exciting looking car. Back in the back is where all the real action happens. Back here, we've got the battery pack. It's got solar panels on the top that basically provide cooling for the entire system. So as it's sitting out here in the sun, like a bright day like today, you kind of hear a fan running that's pulling heat out of the batteries and out of this back compartment, keeping the back compartment pretty cool. Even if I put my hand back in here right now, this entire compartment has remained relatively cool despite sitting out here in the sun. This pops up, it allows easy access to the battery pack. So I can easily get in and service any one of the cells. From here you can see the battery pack and you can see how that's easily serviced. As you'll notice, there's small wires that connect to each battery. These connect back to the BMS system, which is from Vintage Voltage. This was produced by a friend of mine, Charlie Malone. Charlie and I have been working on this system together. He's doing the hardware and I'm doing the software. So we have a software interface that runs right off the screen in front of the car.
That's all right. Andrew's pretty good.
No,
I
that's
like that.
you know, we've shown that red of Andrew before, but now it's in new dress with
looking pretty good.
Calbs, and I think he's got a lot better car. I'm hopeful he will bring that to EVCon.
Nice, bring it to the show. Absolutely.
Speaking of EVCon, last year we were regaled with a crew from the Amsterdam. Anna Kloppenberg.
Yes.
Kloppenberg,
yes.
He's actually, his mother's American, I think, but he lives in Amsterdam. And he was talking about doing a glass drawing, a boat.
Yeah, no, he was talking about that last year. That was,
I was just mentioning a boat last week, that we might do a boat. Well, guess what? We would be second. Take a look.
So here we are, end of May 2012. The sisters are reunited once again in the water. I just took a picture of the twins, and it'd be kind of hard to spot which one is electric, as they both pretty much have their original looks. So I fired the old baby up, because both of them right now are fully ready to go. I mean, they're moored, but, you know, the engines are on, so to speak. The motors are ready. I think now you'll be able to spot the difference a little better. Now, to be fair, This one needs a valve adjustment, something bad. But she's alive, and she'll take you water skiing if you so desire. She's also spewing old oil and exhaust stuff into the water. Don't know if you can quite pick that up, but you know, we're getting that little oil slick around a boat that makes you want to leave the scene of the crime. So what's it look like underneath? All you engine lovers, please look away because this motor's in bad shape. It's an old 4-cylinder Volvo B20 pushrod engine. We bought this boat and they said it was broken. We wouldn't even be able to salvage it for parts. Raymond worked his magic, and about 2 days later she was ready to take us water skiing. Now let's contrast that. Turn this baby off. The quiet. To our fully ready to rock and roll electric speedboat. Excuse the mess. I haven't had time to do our house cleaning yet. So here's the Soliton and Kostov. And to prove we are fully functional, just slip it into neutral, spin up the motor a bit. Now the Soliton has a RPM limiting, but I'm not going to test it with an unloaded motor. You can see that we're using the original motor mounts. It was a real present that the diameter of the motor fit above the lower strut of the original motor mount. We had to extend it a little bit, but we're sitting on rubbers. And in the back, the original seal for Volvo Penta bell housing means that we're in rubbers in the back. Now this stuff is in here. I mean, you can move the boat with the controller plate, so it's in there tight, but it's all in there in rubbers. And this is the sound of a motor that's ready to go and give you about twice the torque the old one did, and 1.5 times the horsepower. But she doesn't make a peep until you actually need it to. So from New Electric in Amsterdam, we'll see you on the water. So it's end of May 2012. We've been building an electric speedboat for about 2 years, and this is the result. Blowers on. Let's aim for the horizon. Yeah, I got the blowers going. Let's see if we got some water. Yeah, got the water out. Bilge pump. Always have one. Okay, we're running at 293 volts, 55 amp hours to go, 4 amps. And this is what she sounds like when she says go. Woo-hoo-hoo! 53 kilometers an hour. Let's see. And absolute quiet. Turn off the blowers. Oh, want to do it again? Sure, Ray. Hold on.
it is
Electric, yeah.
electric, because a lot of people say it's fake.
Here we go. Solid tone controller, Kostov 11-inch interpole motor. All hooks up to standard Volvo-Penta bell housing. Any Volvo-Penta driveline, and we can probably put a Merc Cruiser on too. Any Volvo-Penta driveline, we can hook you up in about 3 months. This could all be yours. Well, it's time to leave the old boat behind. She'll be safe enough here. And it's time to take the new boat to work. Because just because we built a power boat doesn't mean you can't use it as your daily driver. As long as you live in Amsterdam, that is. So, no idea if this is a good picture. But here we go. So just give you some numbers. This kind of cruise, this is 4 amps. This is 23 amps. Oh, got a little cushion to pull in. Okay, we've buttoned down the hatches. I have no idea, is this a good view? That looks about right. Okay, so that was 23 amps. $55 amps. And now this is the most inefficient you could do. You're riding your own wave. That's 126 amps. Get us through the bridge. Under the bridge. 137 amps. Check if we have any water. Nope, nothing in the bilge pump. Okay, I'll put on the blowers and we'll do a little acceleration. So this is from a 30 amp cruise to full on. It was a quick peak of 500. Now it's 360 amps. 355. We checked the GPS yesterday. This is about 53, 55 kilometers an hour on a simple phone GPS, so we'll get some better measurements soon. 330 amps. Full open. Probably hitting high motor volt or the RPM limiting. Okay, we've used quite a bit of our capacity already. Been away from home base for a while. So I'm going to take a slow cruise off to work, and I'll make some more videos later.
That's pretty cool. I mean, you got to admit, man, rolling down the canals and stuff, huh?
Well, it's beyond cool. I knew he would get a boat moving.
Yeah.
And I knew it would be kind of quiet and stuff. Yeah. This thing roars to 55 kilometers an hour.
That thing's a monster. It's a beast.
And he's just like tearing up a patch, pumping 500 amps into a Costa of 11 with a Soliton and dial back.
That's right. Just laid back, Amsterdam style.
And this all works in Amsterdam. I would think he's going to wind up with a business there.
I think so. Ultimately, I think so. Yeah, because I'm sure that they're probably for the pollution of the the oil and the gasoline on the canals and in the sea. I bet that's a perfect solution.
Next viewer, actually, we had Michael Orr and his son stop by here today from Cincinnati. Let's take a look at what Michael's doing.
Okay.
We're kind of doing viewer week this week with videos and so forth. Brain, you decided to go live. What did you find in the parking lot here?
There was some guys wandering around with a shopping cart with a charging station.
Huh.
And they didn't look like they were from around these parts.
Tell me.
So we invited them in and put them on camera.
And so you're Michael Orr?
That's right.
You go by Mike or Michael?
Mike's fine.
Okay. And your erstwhile assistant Igor?
Yeah, it's close enough. Yeah, it's my son James.
All right, James.
And where are you all from?
We're from Cincinnati, and wanted to come down and visit Jack again. We were here about a year ago, and wanted to look at the cars and see what kind of progress is coming on the Escalade. And I also got a charge station that I designed, and I brought that with me.
Yeah, WKRP in Cincinnati, yeah. No, we've given up actually doing cars. We're just going to do interviews and stuff, you know. It's, Escalade didn't work out too well this
we
week,
think electric cars are cool.
Yeah, but boats too.
Yeah, electric boats.
And well, I'm glad you came. So what is it that inspired you to do a J1772 charge station?
Well, eventually I'm going to get an electric car of my own, and so I thought I'd do a charge station. It seemed something reasonable to do versus doing a controller or maybe a charger type system. So it is a J1772 charge station, and it can do the whole range anywhere from the 16 amp all the way up to 80 amp. It just requires changing the contactor on the inside.
So you had an electric car at one time, right?
At one time I did. I had a 1986 Pontiac Fiero, converted it in '93, drove it to 2003, sold it, and wish I had it back, especially during the lovely gas
Especially now, huh?
So eventually I'll convert another car and use a lithium system.
So, but you continue to be interested in the field, and
I am.
And so you wanted a little project to kind of get in the game somehow or other, huh?
That's right. Yeah, sort of a contribution to the electric car cause.
And your background to do this?
Electronics.
Okay.
A little engineering, technical work.
What did you do for a career?
Well. Lately,
you got to be my age. You can't have one anymore.
Lately is mostly retired, but before that, I did operator interface systems for process control in industry and oil companies, and did the microprocessor work and design work on that. Before that, I was doing some tech and engineering work for other companies, and in a previous life, I taught college.
Okay. So you designed a J1772 charge station. You were showing me the board. Do you have that board here still?
It's not on the cart. It's back in the shop. I can do it. Okay.
That's what Igors are good for. So you did it without a multi-controller. This is all a logic board.
Right. Yeah. There's no microprocessor in the system. It's pretty well straight logic, and so most all your errors and problems are in the design itself. So when it doesn't work, you don't find out generally later. It has to work the way it works.
Yeah.
And once it's working right, doesn't have much choice but to work that way.
Well, this is a handsome looking unit. You've got kind of a very professionally printed, what do you call that, brushed brass or something?
That's what nickel.
Nickel
Brushed nickel.
panel and everything here.
Yeah, it really is nice, beautiful.
Can you show us what's inside?
Well, I need a screwdriver to get it open again.
And that's in the other room, huh?
But the board is here.
Good. Well, we'll talk
The board
about
went back
that.
to get a screwdriver. So.
There
Those
you
logic
go.
boards, they're just cute.
Well, it's a nice small package.
Very
now-
compact, yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
it's in a 10-inch by 8-inch by 4-inch deep box. And it's a 16-gauge steel box with a locking lamp on it.
Well, it's a nice looking unit. I can go to Lowe's and buy a GE watt station for $1,000 now.
You can.
What's the niche for this?
Well, it's tough to find a niche for this. There is no such thing as a cheap J1772 charge station, even if you make it yourself. Let me point that out to everybody out there right now. The biggest culprit is this guy here. It's pretty expensive. So, yeah, I can make and sell these things for a neighborhood of $750, $790. So it's still pretty tight.
Well, it saves a couple hundred ducats, and it's a
Yeah.
nice, sturdy looking unit.
Yep. This is a logic board, and like I said, it's straight logic, so there's no microprocessor on it. This is a universal power supply, and this is an industrial grade type of optic isolator for controlling the contactor. It's a fairly simple board. It's the kind of board I like because it has parts on it I can see and feel,
Right.
and still work with. So
Everybody's gone to those surface mount SMD parts, and it is true that they make delightful little circuits. The problem is I can't even see
Right, you can't
the
see them
parts.
all.
I
No.
can't see anything in it. Show us the inside here.
let me get him open here.
You're in a pretty small box there, and he's got my lit push button switch that I like so much.
That's what the inside looks like. You can see the logic board on the top, contactor in the bottom, and the display and the switcher over here. That's about it. It's a pretty simple machine.
So I want a 70 amp version of one of these. What's it going to cost me?
The only difference would be in the cost of the contactor and the cable. If you go to a 70, anything above a 30 amp cable, which is what this is, you're going to pay in the neighborhood of an extra $100, $150 just for the cable part.
Okay.
That makes a difference. So it's the cost of the cable and the cost of the contactor. And the contactor will be cheaper than the cable by far. These are pretty expensive cables. If you go to a 30 amp system, where you run off a 30 amp breaker, or this cable is rated for 30 amps, so you could go up to a 40 amp breaker on it and run a little more. And most electric cars, at least the production electric cars right now, aren't going to exceed this. Yeah. I think the Focus is running about a 6.6, 6.7 kilowatt charger, and that still would fall in the capabilities of this cable here. However, if you have a need for, a 75 or 80 amp device, you can get the cable for it, and you can get the contactor for it.
Okay. And if they wanted one, how do they get a hold of you?
You can email me at or at fuse.net. It's ORRR at fuse, FUSE.net, N-E-T.
3 R's?
Yeah,
That's a lot of R's. in your
two
name.
is already
Two were already taken.
I see. or. All right. Well, I'll try to scratch that in front of us, and so you can get a nice, very compact. It's quite structurally
Very nice.
more, industrial strength type charger, and you're in the $750 range. Save a couple hundred ducats, and for most of our cars. I wish they could do 30 amps. But for the Escalade, I really can at 75.
Right, we
but
can.
that's an unusual situation with a big battery pack. Mike, thanks for coming and sharing this
appreciate
with us. And
You're welcome.
And thanks, James.
I hope you do very
get
well
stuff.
with it.
Yeah, there you go. Good.
It's a beautiful looking unit, and so it's something to think about.
Yeah, this one here I'm hopefully planning on using for my own car at my own house, but I have others. This is a brand new board that goes into another system.
Okay.
I'm also working on a design to go along with this for cars that don't have J1772, where you need to make the connect, the charge, the proximity switch. And the other thing I want to put in it is a battery monitor. You have two wires that would go out and connect to your lithium-ion cell, any cell. And if that cell ever hits 4 volts, it will send a signal back to the charge station through the pilot, and it will trigger to turn off the power, and it'll flash an error light.
That's an interesting thing. The whole J1772 thing seems to be to prevent me from shocking myself standing 4 foot deep in the snow.
Yes.
I'd rather have it where it didn't charge one of my cells over 4 volts.
It didn't overcharge any of the cells, yeah.
And most, as you know, we don't use battery management systems, and most of our chargers have been pretty reliable, but it would still be nice to have a little interlock to take the AC away from them. And a lot of guys have looked at, you know, like the little JLD 404 to do that.
Right, to do that, right.
With a relay to disconnect the AC from the charger. And this is a backup for the charger. It's not a bad idea.
No, not at all. It's a great idea. Yeah, yep.
Keep from burning your car down accidentally from some rogue charger or battery management system has lost its mind. It'd be nice if you could just look at one of the cells and say this cell is getting out of control, and then you could turn the power off at the plug, and it would drop everything and do a flash, let you know that you had a cell that went overboard.
Yeah, we've got 2 of them now that are, and I kind of track these and revisit these guys. When they burn their car to the ground in their warehouse or their garage, during the insurance investigation, they have a certain story. And I understand why. and then I'll check back at 3 months and 6 months and 9 months and a year. A couple of them were very clearly the battery management system, now that the insurance company's paid off.
Oh, okay.
And and they were lightning strikes.
Oh,
Really?
coincident? Lightning strike during charging?
Yeah.
Oh.
They're charging their car and they have a lightning strike just nearby, and it throws the multi-controller spasmo.
Okay.
The charger's still charging.
Still charging, yeah.
The BMS gets lost.
Oops.
Yeah.
Oops.
It'd be nice to turn your power off at that time. It's lost.
When it's
Right,
lost, right. Yeah.
Well, and in your case, it gets one of the cells to 4 volts or 3.9 or whatever you set it at, and then it just removes the AC
Just
from
done.
the system
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
And so a BMS for your BMS.
There you go.
If you pile enough of this together, you'll eventually get back to just using the battery.
Batteries.
and
a charger.
Just keep an eye on the other stuff that's supposed to protect your vehicle.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
Need a watchman for your watchman.
That's
but,
right.
Good. But you know, frankly, it wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, there are failures in equipment, and having a a dual system, if it was simple and
Right, and managed.
and like an AC relay with a little voltmeter on it. That's costs very little,
Right.
and might work out.
Yeah,
for you.
that should be effective. Yeah.
Better to have it and not need it.
That's right.
Than need it and not have it.
And not that a $10,000 battery pack isn't at least worth looking after as much as possible.
Well,
That's
true
it.
enough. Mike, thanks for joining us and
thanks a lot.
coming and
Thanks a lot.
sharing. And
It's
it's
great to be here.
pleasure to
Appreciate
meet
it.
you,
Thanks,
James.
Mike. James,
And,
thank you. All right.
I've got James
deal.
talked into doing a Think project, and
It's easy to sell.
so
Yeah.
all right. It's a nice piece of kit. It's a
It
small
is.
box, very quality.
Yeah, he did a good job.
His panel looks great. He's got that with about a 30 amp system there, and he's wanting $750 for them. I can buy a watt station for $1,000. I guess I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe our guys are kind of in the do-it-yourself kind of thing. Maybe they, would like someone
he
that's
did a
produced
beautiful-
by
did
one
a
of the
beautiful
viewers.
job,
Yeah,
and it is $200 or $300 cheaper than what you get at Lowe's. And so there's some advantages to it.
Yeah.
If he would incorporate that battery monitor thing, where it would shut off the
Shut off
power.
what he's talking about. That was a great idea. That was cool.
Now that would work for me.
Yeah. That starts to get you feeling a little more comfortable about charging your car. Absolutely.
So yes, we're just going to give you a show full of viewers today. Royce Wood has been somewhat of assistance on the Cadillac. He is doing a Cougar and going to bring it to EVCon.
Oh, good. Cool.
But he has a friend who wants his car converted too, and Royce is kind of getting into this. Let's take a look at what they've got up their sleeve.
Okay.
And take two. There's a bird flying around in the shop.
Okay.
Okay, we're back here at K&R Custom Performance and Auto Care. We're going to give you a little teaser trailer on our second conversion that we're working on. This is a 1987 TVR 280i. This belongs to our good friend Robert Salem, and this is Robert, and we'll let him fill you in on the details of this car and give a little history on it, so you know what it's about before we tear it apart and make it electric.
Yes, this is a 1987 TVR 280i. It was the last year they imported TVRs into the United States, was in '87. It was one of the last cars. First they had to they put a 2.8 liter Ford fuel injected engine in so they could meet the emission standards in the 80s. And then they went to 350s and 450 engines in this car later on, but they never imported them into the United States. There were about 1,200 of these made. There was a hard top and a drop roof both. It has a Jaguar rear end, standard parts, and it has a little 4-speed Ford, European Ford transmission in it.
Kind of a crude copy of an old top loader.
Yeah, it's a top loader type of transmission. We're going to replace the Ford engine with a pair of Kostoff 11 inchers that are already bored up to a Connect TKO 600. Very similar to what you did with the
Cobra.
Cobra.
The Cobra conversion. It's the same type of transmission that's in the Cobra, but we're using the two 11-inch Kostovs as opposed to the net gain motors, and those have already been reworked on the lathe and mounted together. Although that coupler I think is going to need some work, but we'll get to that later.
We'll show you all that later, we hope.
Yeah.
Also, the chassis is very similar to the Cobra. It's a tube with fiberglass over construction, so it's very, very easy to adapt it and work on the frame. So we hope to have it done in time for
It'll be done.
For EVCon.
It'll be ready for EVCon. Don't worry. You'll see it at EVCon.
So that's about it for now.
Wow.
So
Royce is a pretty good guy. I like that.
Yeah, so that should make a nice little project.
Yeah, and I know him very well by shipping him a lot of our parts.
He's bought a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, he's bought a bunch of stuff from him.
Yeah.
We love you, Royce.
And he's a good thrifty shopper too. So he's not prone to throwing it around.
No. He works those projects pretty hard.
He's using an old General Electric motor, and he's got him a rusty Cougar. But he's in the auto business. He can do all.
He can do that kind of stuff. Yeah, stuff we wouldn't even want to touch.
So he's doing pretty good. And that's our viewers. I did get some of our blowers in this week.
Yes.
I got 10 of them.
Yeah, we got 10 blowers.
The Garrett blowers, and we put together a little kit. Let's show them what we got here. Hello, I'm Jack Rickard. I'm here to introduce the EVTV Blow Me Professional cooling air package for net gain Warp 9 and Warp 11 motors. We start with a shroud that is built by Hunter Hamstra's own Elfin Hands with neoprene rubber and a soft metal with cutouts for your terminals that bolts together to give you a sealed end on the commutator end of your motor. That's where most of the heat and carbon dust build up. We add a blower made out of the housing of a Garrett turbocharger. Garrett turbochargers are $2,500, but they do wear out, and so we buy the cases and new impeller blades and bead blast them and add a little 50-watt electric motor. 12 volts. It runs about 4 amps, 3.9 or 4 amps at 12 volts. This package will put out 434 cubic feet per minute, which is quite a bit of air at 12 volts, or 635 cubic feet a minute at 24 volts, and it runs just fine either way or anything in between. We add a tapered cone air filter to keep from blowing stuff into the motor. It's washable and reusable, has a rubber flange and a little clamp on it. This is not a K&N filter. K&N is famous for making excellent filters. This is a Chinese knockoff of it that is probably not as good, but I'm not going to lay awake nights worrying about the quality of my air filter. This does filter the air. It is washable and reusable, and it's inexpensive. The motor itself has a fan, and the new net gain warp 9s have an improved fan that moves quite a bit of air through the motor, but it only does so as the shaft turns. 25 RPM, it cools itself fairly nicely. At 200 or 300 RPM, idling around the parking lot, or worse, holding yourself with just a little bit of current through that motor at the stoplight with no rotation at all, there's no cooling in the motor. The motor's life and its ability to accept power is really a function of how well it handles heat. And with this 434 cubic feet per minute blower, we aid it when it's under stress at 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000 RPM, and we absolutely help it at lower RPMs when it's really not getting any cooling air. This blows directly down on your commutator and brushes through this shroud, and that minimizes the buildup of carbon dust from the brushes and heat on the commutator, which is where the heat starts from in the motor. If you'll recall, on the Cobra, we had a number of fans on that Cobra build, and when we would shut off the car, the net gain warp drive controller would throw a fault. It monitors the quality of the 12 volts in to see what it is, and while we had removed the 12 volts from the system, our fans were turning as generators and causing a sort of a slow decay of the 12 volts. It was sufficiently slow that the controller, and almost all controllers would do this, would detect it as a failed 12 volts before it would as a shutoff. And so it will throw an error on your controller as it shuts down. Next time you turn it up, you have this error stored in memory. We add a ordinary 40 amp 12 volt automotive relay, and what we do is bring the power in on the coil to energize the relay, but we also jumper that to the swing arm of the relay, and when the relay energizes, it applies the 12 volts through the swing arm out the normally open contacts, which are now closed, to the motor and start the motor. There's no magic there. In fact, it doesn't even make a lot of sense what we're doing, except when we de-energize the relay, we not only remove 12 volts from the coil and de-energize the relay, but that disconnects the motor, now generator, as it spins down from our 12 volt bus and prevents it from putting noise there. Feeding the relay and included in your EVTV Blow Me Pro blower kit is an inline fuse case with a weather seal. It accepts the ordinary blade type automotive fuses. We would probably recommend a 10 or a 15 amp fuse, and I'll probably include one in your kit. The system actually draws 3.8 to 4 amps at 13 volts, perhaps a little higher at 12, maybe 5 amps, but in any event, 50 or 60 watts of power. I've got a battery here, and I want you to hear one of the features of this blower that was part of the selection process on this, and that is the noise. We can actually get higher power blowers, but they turn at 18,000 RPM or so, and the screech is absolutely unbearable. This is a noticeable noise when you're standing next to it like this, but it's not too horrendous. When you put it under a hood and you're in the passenger compartment, you can just barely detect that anything's on. And so it gives you a little bit of indication that you've applied power, but it's really a very quiet blower for the amount of air that it puts out at 435 cubic feet per minute. So this is our Pro package. You get your shield, your filter, the blower itself, the relay, the inline fuse, and that will let you wire this in. Oh, what's the fuse for? Well, if the motor burns out, you don't really start a fire. It'll blow the fuse, and the rest of your system will work fine. Your motor may run a little bit hot because the air intake is blocked off of the shroud, so you want to take care of that quite soon. The blower fits right on the shroud opening quite easily, but you can get it on there where it fits. It's tight enough fit that you can get it to fit pretty tight. We normally drill a little hole and put one of the little auto perforantes, the Mexican self-tapping screw, into there. And in this way, the air blows straight down on the commutator. We're going to offer this kit for $495 on the online web store. I've got 10 of them on hand, and George Hamstra of NetGain has spoken up for one for his Bricklin, and Dale Friedhoff of St. Louis, Missouri has already reserved one, so there'll be 8 more to go. We'll try to get more of these if they sell, but it's a relatively expensive solution for auxiliary cooling of your motor, but we think a good one. And again, we don't fool a lot with the less expensive and less shorter life type solutions. I think this blower will outlast the motor. And so there you have it, the EVTV Blow Me auxiliary blower system for the NetGain Warp 9 and Warp 11 motors.
Blow Me 9 is
The
professional
EVTV
blower.
Blow Me professional auxiliary blower cooler flavor swayman.
Big 9-inch. Jeez.
Yes, the
we
Blow Me. We're going to call it the Blow Me.
We can't leave him alone.
And it's
Sorry,
yeah.
I shouldn't do that.
With Hunter Hamstra's own little elfin hands making the shroud, and we're adding relays and fuses akimbo. But truthfully, we actually went through a lot of blowers getting to that one.
Yeah.
And there were 2 problems. One is weak output.
Yeah, we tried putting them on the ends of motors, blowing them through, putting them on top. Yeah, we made one.
And the other is noise.
Yeah, loud.
We had some that were pretty good pumpers.
Yeah.
We couldn't be in the shop with
No,
them.
they were just too loud.
And it's
your ears
true
were ringing.
that these make kind of an annoying noise, but it's quiet enough under the hood you don't notice it.
No, they're not bad. Because we had them on
If you're bent over
Cobra.
them, they're kind of annoying. But if you close the hood and stuff, it's really pretty
not
bearable.
bad. Yeah.
Their quality. I mean,
that
it's a
turbocharger.
$2,500 turbocharger.
Yeah, the case for that turbocharger is nice. Yeah.
That have been repurposed.
Yeah. Hey, the ultimate form of recycling. Huh?
That's right. And so I kind of think they're neat. I think
they really are.
Be a neat little sales item for the online store. What's with EVCon 2012, Brian? What is going on?
We are able to actually watch you sign up on the show, and it's almost better than television.
This is June 1st.
Yeah.
The $400 is no more.
No, and last night.
But last night on the computer, Brian's at dinner. I had to call him.
Jack called me, probably in his underwear.
This looks like pachinko.
He's just watching it go.
They were piling in. We're going to have an excellent show this year. and in all respects, but we have 23 cars now.
Right now, yeah, we're like already at 200% of where we were.
Yeah. 119 people are signed up. At that rate, it's 400 guys.
Yeah, it's a lot of people, and maybe
50 cars.
Maybe 50 cars. I mean, just working out the numbers, that would be extraordinary. It'd be really, really cool.
I was kind of went out on a limb, and certainly financially, for this Show Me Center Arena. As it turns out,
I think we need it.
Brilliant move.
Yeah, I think we need it. I think we need
he made me do it.
I think we need
It's going to work great. We've got all kinds of vendors. Who's signed up? Headway, NetGain, Evnetics.
Yeah, NetGain Controls,
Modular EV Power,
EV,
NetGain Controls,
Recharge Car. Yeah, that's probably right now. We've probably got half of our floor space sold.
Floor is gone.
Yeah, half of it's gone.
And so we'll put an updated floor plan up when I get around to it. But it's shaping up very well. I heard from Ryan Baum about his speaking thing.
Oh, yeah, I saw the email.
He did a pretty good session incorporating safety last time. I asked him to narrow the focus because this has been on my mind with the Escalade, of course. I think we're going to title it something like Breaking High Current Flows and Why You Might Someday Really, Really Want to
really want to, just in case.
And then have him sort of survey and run down contactors,
the options,
disconnect switch,
yeah,
and most of all, these Messrs. Ferraz, Shawmut fuses.
Oh, okay.
I have tried to get somebody from Ferraz Shawmut to address this or point me in the right direction, and they're just kind of lost, dazed, and confused. The fuse is actually a fast blow fuse. It's a very quick fuse.
Once it gets
the semiconductor fuse to protect things quickly.
Yeah.
Then they show you a chart of different currents way beyond their rating and how much time they can take that much current, which can be quite a bit.
Oh, okay.
How do I
how do you translate that?
In fact, how do I even understand any of that?
Right.
Where it makes any sense for you as to how to size a fuse for your system, and fusing and appropriately sized fusing is actually quite important for your car.
Yeah, absolutely.
And things like the impact switch we showed last week, and disconnect switches and contactors are kind of, believe it or not, most of the people don't struggle with picking a motor, and they don't really struggle with picking a controller. And they get down to some of these bit parts, they're actually quite important, and they do struggle.
And they're kind of
nobody
mystical.
really wants to deal with it. Ryan's going to kind of lay all that into some form of rational thought process, and he's a good little engineer.
He had a good session last year,
and I think he'll I think he'll do even better this year with kind of a more
focus
on some specific things that can do you some good. And so
great, that'll be a great session.
The sort of thing we're going to have. But as far as participation, we're way out ahead of last year, and I think we're at 3 or 4 times what we did last year, which would be
great.
An excellent growth period. That guy kind of scared me talking about his event in Europe that half the people showed up in from last year, and I've been looking for some malaise caused by this OEM battle for notoriety as failures with the Volt and the Leaf, and so forth. And so it's...
I think it's just energized all you out there. I mean, that's how you're going to get your electric car, especially the one you want. It's just build it.
Well, I mean, it's a way to beat the heart of the problem, and I've been saying this for some time. It's going to take 10 or 12 years to do this, but it's two-pronged. One is acculturation,
right?
Getting people used to driving an electric car, and that it won't hurt them, and it won't change their life. In fact, it's all good.
It's all good, yeah, right.
Once they have the EV grin, but that is not an instantly transmittable message by press release and Super Bowl commercial. People are on to that you will, in fact, I know you'll find this hard to believe, there are people in the world that will put things in a press release that are not precisely so.
I can't believe that.
They can even be somewhat disingenuous in their Super Bowl commercials.
I did like the bear.
I like the bear too.
The Nissan Leaf is a first step towards a brighter future. And that's where the idea for the polar bear commercial comes from. It comes right out of that hope and optimism.
I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but it's about a bear that travels a very long distance to tell someone that it's very thankful that this guy is going electric.
The polar bear in our commercial is a real polar bear. Her name is Aggie. She's already been in a lot of films, so she was pretty comfortable on the set. And she wasn't really impressed with the lights or the cameras or the crew or any of us for that matter. We, on the other hand, were pretty impressed with Aggie.
The polar bear is astonishing.
I think that she's going to be really beautiful and cuddly.
The polar bear is pretty cool.
For the most part, Aggie was the bear you saw in every scene. The bears in the Arctic were from nature documentary footage. And the scene where a bear crosses the bridge into the city, that was computer generated. Mainly because it was past Aggie's bedtime, and you just don't want to keep a bear up past her bedtime. For the safety and well-being of Aggie, the scenes where she was involved with trucks were shot separately. First, we would shoot Aggie doing her thing, and then later we would shoot the trucks and bring the scenes together digitally. Things like rain and this little guy were also brought in digitally. The most challenging scene to pull off by far was the hug scene. You can't just send an unsuspecting actor into an emotional scene with a polar bear, if you ever want to see them again. Aggie was very comfortable with her trainer, so that's who she ultimately ended up hugging on the driveway. Our human actor had to work with a stand-in too. There was this guy, the post, and the air hug. Once we had all the pieces filmed, it was just a matter of bringing them together digitally. Then all the scenes were cut together. Sound design and music provided the finishing touches. And the finished commercial tells our story. The Nissan Leaf has arrived, and the planet is glad it's here.
The 100% electric Nissan Leaf. Innovation for the planet. Innovation for all.
And so, give a big bear hug.
Bear hug. Come here.
Yeah, come here. So the bear is good, but
man, I didn't know that there's
but
falsehoods in press releases.
And the next thing is the value proposition.
Yeah, they are expensive right now.
You know, I mean, they're expensive if you do them yourself. Mm-hmm. But if you take $20,000 components and a car you really like and want, and you provide the sweat equity of the labor, and nobody has to make any money.
Right. You can
get
it under
one
control. Yeah, exactly.
At a controllable cost.
Yep.
So how does this translate? I actually do get invitations from some of these people to come spend a day with them. It's I can't spend a day with me. We work on cars from Monday to Thursday. We shoot on Friday. I edit Saturday. We post on Sunday. And Monday, it's Monday again.
Monday again. Yeah.
That's what Monday is.
That's right. Wake up. It's Monday.
I'm not traveling anywhere and advising or consulting with anybody, but I'll throw Nissan a bone.
Okay.
This is not as hard as you make it look. If you want to sell the cars, here's what I would do. You've spent $3.6 billion on it anyway.
That's right. Yeah.
Give away some more. The month of July of this year, announce a special promotion. You're going to rent a Leaf to anybody that walks in that wants one for a week for $100.
Okay.
You pick up the Leaf. You go drive it a week, you bring it back, you get your daughter back.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
$100. Okay?
I'll take the car, keep the kid.
This attacks the acculturation problem. Now, just as an experiment, during the month of July, sell the Leaf for exactly the same price as the similarly equipped Versa, which is what it is.
Right, right. Yeah, it's a Versa. Yeah.
And by the way, send me the numbers at the end of July.
I bet they'd be high.
I bet you would rent 100,000 cars and half of them would convert.
Yeah, yeah.
Problem is you don't have 100,000
right,
cars.
that's the problem. Yeah, that is the problem.
But that's what would happen.
Yeah.
And you'd convert a third to a half of them.
Yeah, once you drive an electric car, I mean, it's
a powerful
gets you.
thing. I mean, and it's just like the Chevy Volt owners are discovering it only does 40 miles electric, except I'm only driving 22 miles electric at all today.
What was all that range anxiety stuff they were talking about?
What was all the range anxiety? It was a red herring.
Yeah.
It's not any of the issues. There are issues with electric cars. You're not to them yet by a lot.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, we're not there. No.
We'll be happy to discuss them with you if you come to EVCon.
Mm-hmm.
But if you haven't been in an electric car, it's...
What can we tell you?
Yeah, where are you starting from?
Yeah, what's your baseline?
You're still wanting to know how far it goes, how long it takes to charge. You're not one of my guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, electric cars are cool. Get a copper foil helmet, go stand out in the intersection, wave down the next one you see.
Well, the dog will stop talking to you.
Yeah, well, he might.
Yeah, you won't hear him anymore.
We'll talk to you next week. That's
will.
going to be the show for this week. I know it's a little weird and a little different, but we are doing some stuff on the Escalade. We got the motor spinning.
Yeah, we got the motor spinning.
Should show them that. But my tachometer signal doesn't work. My reluctor ring, if we bring in the ECU, and then it tries to take over the car and cycle it and stuff. So we're having some little thing, but we're getting there wired up, and we actually had the motor turn. We'll get it.
Yeah, we'll get it.